There are numerous approaches to instructional design for integrating creativity into your course. In this lesson, we'll introduce you to a few different popular models and show you how they allow for injecting creativity throughout the planning process. Let's start with the importance of backwards design. Backwards design means starting with learning outcomes and designing backwards to individual activities, lessons, or content where students can demonstrate their knowledge. This principle is at the heart of approaches like understanding by design, Adobe, which sequence the instructional design and learning process with the end result in mind, and universal design for learning, which encourages instructors to start with the why of learning first, through the lens of representation, engagement, and expression. All of these frameworks have a few things in common. They are adaptable to creative teaching across all subjects and grade levels. They encourage teachers to plan instruction with the end in mind, some more explicitly, and others more iteratively. Most importantly for this course, they allow you to name creativity and creative thinking as an end goal, and create a framework to then infuse creativity into every step of the planning process. We encourage you to spend some more time with these three models, or to use your current model for instructional design, and ask yourself, where in my planning process can I make creativity more explicit? How can I design for it in each element of my course, from the learning outcomes to the assignments or activities, and in areas like social and emotional learning, inclusivity, and distance learning? Putting creativity at the forefront of every stage of the planning process means that creativity will become an integral part of student learning, and also part of your process. In the words of creativity scholar Mitchell Resnick, think of the planning process as tinkering. Tinkerers understand how to improvise, adapt, and iterate as new situations arise. Tinkering breeds creativity. Start small, try out simple ideas, react to what happens, make adjustments, and refine your plans. Let's hear from educators like you about how their instructional design process, or their tinkering, created aha moments in their courses.
Teachers play a central role in developing creative thinkers. It helps me as an educator to be able to reach students at different levels. It helps me to develop a curriculum that encourages students to look at different ways to answer a variety of challenges.
I typically use Understanding by Design and Adobe as my instructional frameworks, although I'm also familiar with UDL. But most typically I use Understanding by Design, UBD, where I plan with the end in mind. What I love about this is that I always have an end goal in mind, where I want students to really be by the end of my course, if it's in higher education. This helps me infuse creativity at every single step of the way, because I know where I want my students to land. I know how to plan creativity as milestone markers along the way to get them to that final goal.
I design my courses and my classes to be very experiential. I believe that working in teams and having to experience what a project is going to be like, not only in the sense of what the learning outcome of that project is, but also the communication and the collaboration that happens around that experiential learning. The ability for you to have reflective time, the ability for students to fail fast. This is all very important design aspects in my creative classroom.
It's not simply enough to have one student succeed, but every single student must succeed in their own way. So I plan with the end in mind, but I also ensure that there are multiple routes to success.
As an educator, I use both the Understanding by Design as well as the Universal Design for Learning framework. And what those frameworks enable me to do, especially when I use UDL, is to consider whether or not my lesson is accessible to all learners